The desert wind carried the bitter smell of fuel and smoke across the barren cliffs. Staff Sergeant Sophia steadied her breathing as she adjusted her long rifle. Her scope locked on the convoy crawling across the valley floor. 3 trucks heavy with weapons, armored escorts surrounding them like wolves guarding a prize. Their formation perfect, their firepower enough to erase a small town if unleashed. Her mission was clear. She had been told these were stolen weapons destined for enemies waiting in the shadows. She had been ordered to stop them, but something gnawed at her thoughts like a whisper she could not silence. When the crates were unloaded, her scope revealed markings, familiar ones, serial numbers she had seen in their own armory just weeks earlier. These were not foreign shipments. They were their weapons. Sophia pressed the radio unit to her lips, her voice calm but uncertain. Overwatch to command. I have eyes on the target, sir. There is something wrong here. The weapons are ours. Silence crackled through the earpiece before the cold, commanding voice of Colonel Robert broke through. Negative, Sergeant. Intel confirms the cargo is stolen. You will complete the mission. Take the shot. Through the glass of her scope, a soldier turned toward her position, and her heart froze in her chest. The face was unmistakable. John, a fellow soldier from her own base, someone she had laughed with in the mess hall, someone who was supposed to be safe back at camp. Not here, not escorting this convoy. Command, Sophia whispered. I see friendlies. John is down there. He is leading the unload. I request clarification. Her words barely escaped before Robert's voice thundered back. You have your orders and neutralize the convoy. That is a direct command. Her hands trembled against the rifle. In 3 years as a sniper, she had never hesitated. Each mission had been clean and certain. But now her instincts screamed against the order. She tapped her helmet cam, recording the scene, magnifying the crates, catching the exchange of official military documents instead of enemy markings. And then she saw it. Robert himself, stepping from an unmarked vehicle, shaking John's hand. Both men smiling as they supervised the delivery. This was not an interception. It was a transfer, a deal. Her breath caught. This was betrayal. Her radio flared again. Sergeant, report. Have you neutralized the target? She pulled away from the scope. Her decision made. Negative, sir. I cannot take the shot. There are civilians in the area. My position is compromised. The voice that came back chilled her blood. I can see your position, Sergeant. You have a perfect line of sight. Take the shot. Robert knew where she was, which meant he knew what she had seen. Her cover was gone. Worse, he knew she was recording. Sophia switched her channel, encrypting the transmission. This is Staff Sergeant Sophia. Service number Delta 6, uploading evidence of weapons trafficking involving Colonel Robert. The words cut short as her equipment flickered and died. Remotely disabled. Robert's tone returned, calm and venomous. You are mistaken. Forget what you think you saw. Finish the mission. Her choice was made. She dismantled her rifle in seconds. Her training taking over, she knew when the target was no longer in her crosshairs, but aimed at her. I request immediate extraction, she whispered. My position is compromised. Negative, the voice came back. Stay where you are until the job is complete. But she was already descending the rocky face, ropes cutting into her gloves as she dropped toward the canyon floor. The desert echo carrying the distant thrum of approaching helicopters, not for rescue but for elimination. Her fears were confirmed when Robert's next order blared across open channels. Attention all units. Staff Sergeant Sophia has gone rogue. She is hostile. Shoot on sight. The voices that answered cut her deeper than any bullet. Emma. Michael. Soldiers she trusted with her life. Acknowledging the command, they were coming for her. Her blood turned to ice as she sprinted across the rocks, leaving behind her heavier gear, keeping only her sidearm and survival pack. The sound of rotors grew louder. Searchlights began to sweep the valley. Robert's words echoed in her memory. Eliminate the threat. Make it look like insurgent activity. Pressed against jagged stone. Sophia's mind raced. Every soldier she trusted was now her enemy. Her commander had betrayed his oath. The weapons they fought to protect were being sold. The mission she believed in was a lie. And in that moment, under the sweep of the searchlight and the roar of engines above, she understood the truth. This was no longer about survival. This was about exposing the conspiracy that threatened them all. And from this point forward, the hunter had become the hunted. The canyon was alive with sound. The pounding blades of helicopters tore through the night sky as their searchlights painted the desert floor in blinding white flashes. Sophia pressed her body into the jagged stone, counting the rhythm of the beams. 12 seconds of darkness, 3 seconds of light. Enough time to move if she was careful, not enough if she faltered. Her earpiece still carried the chatter of her squad. Familiar voices now turned cold. Emma reporting negative contact in Sector 8. Michael confirming grid cleared. 2 days ago, they had shared laughter about burnt coffee in the mess hall. Now those same voices were hunting her like prey. Sophia slid down the shale, boots grinding against loose stone as she pushed her body further from the sweep of the lights. Her throat burned with thirst, 18 hours of running. Surviving only on 2 ration bars and pure adrenaline. She thought of the water sources marked on her map, but shook her head. Robert would have them all covered. Every oasis, every stream, every well. The ground shook under her palms. Engines approached, 3 armored vehicles cutting through the dust, converging on the ridge where she had been minutes earlier. Her instincts screamed at her to move, and she scrambled upward, scaling the opposite slope, the pre-dawn light breaking faintly over the horizon. Her comm unit buzzed, an encrypted alert flashing across the screen. Her blood turned cold as she read the words. Priority alert. Staff Sergeant Sophia wanted for treason. Armed and extremely dangerous. Bounty of $150,000 for confirmed kill, an extra $50,000 for proof of death. Her heart slammed against her chest. Robert had not only turned her squad against her, he had unleashed an army of mercenaries, bounty hunters, desperate men with nothing to lose and everything to gain. In the span of an hour, she had become the most hunted soul across 100 miles of desert. The whistle of incoming mortars sliced through the air. Instinct propelled her body behind a boulder as the explosion shattered the hillside, dirt and rock cascading around her. They were not trying to capture her. They wanted to erase her. Another round followed, closer, the heat licking her skin as she sprinted through the smoke, using chaos as her cover. She crested a ridge and stopped dead. 3 figures stood before her, armed men in worn tactical gear, eyes glittering with greed, their rifles raised. Well, one of them drawled, $50,000 just walked into our sights. Her body moved before her thoughts could catch up. Rolling to the side as bullets cracked against stone, her pistol flashed, one shot straight through the chest of the leader. He fell without finishing his taunt. Another lunge from her left, but she had anticipated the move. 2 precise rounds cut him down before his weapon cleared the rock. The third froze, younger, trembling. His rifle dropped to the sand as he raised his hands. Please don't shoot. I have kids. Sophia's aim did not waver as she closed the distance. How many others are out here? Her voice sharp. I don't know, maybe a dozen teams, maybe more, he stammered, words spreading fast. Everyone is coming for you. She bound his hands with cord stripped from her pack and confiscated his radio, scrolling through channels. The truth hit her harder than the explosions. Robert had put out the contract through every network he could reach, private security firms, mercenary channels, even local gangs. The entire region was now her battlefield. But as she listened longer, another realization formed. The bounty hunters were careless, treating this as an ordinary manhunt, sharing intelligence. Assuming she was frightened and desperate, they had no idea who they were truly pursuing. A grim smile touched her lips. If Robert wanted to turn her into prey, she would remind him what kind of predator he had trained. Hours bled into one another as she moved like a shadow, setting traps, striking from high ground, vanishing into the rocks before her enemies could respond. Each ambush earned her more weapons, more ammunition, more fragments of intelligence. Whispers carried over captured radios spoke of a forward command post 15 miles north, Robert's center of operations. Worse still, she intercepted a chilling phrase, Operation Clean Slate, a plan to strike a refugee camp that housed over 300 civilians. She listened in silence as Robert's voice barked over the airwaves. The attack must look like Sophia went rogue. Use her ammunition. Plant evidence of her presence. When the smoke clears, she will be blamed for the massacre, and our little problem disappears with her. Sophia clenched her jaw until her teeth ached. She remembered that camp. She had helped build its defenses months ago. She had met the families, the children who played with sticks in the dust, the elderly who had found peace in the shelters, and now Robert planned to slaughter them all to bury his crimes. Her path was clear. She could no longer run. She could no longer hide. The camp had become her line in the sand. Robert would burn it to the ground unless she stood in his way. She checked her gear, ammunition low, scavenged weapons heavy across her shoulders. But it would have to be enough. The desert wind whispered across her skin as she began to move, her resolve burning hotter than the rising sun. From now on, she thought, this was not just about survival. This was about justice, and if Robert wanted a war, she would bring it to him. The sun had not yet climbed above the horizon when Sophia crouched in the ruins of an abandoned gas station, her binoculars fixed on the valley road. A convoy of black vehicles wound its way across the sand, sleek engines, polished weapons, movements too precise to be bandits. Robert's private contractors, their destination clear, the refugee camp. Her hand tightened on the grip of her rifle. Time was slipping away. Less than 12 hours before Operation Clean Slate began. She had to move, but before her boots could touch the road, a low growl of an engine reached her ears. Dust billowed as a motorcycle approached. She swung her pistol up, fingers steady, ready to end whatever threat emerged. The rider slowed, hands raised, engine cutting off. A man in his 30s, hair dusty, press vest faded and scarred from years of use. A camera bag slung across his shoulder. "Easy, Sergeant," he called, his accent sharp. "American, I am not here for the bounty." Sophia's pistol did not lower. "Then why are you here?" she demanded. "Marcus," he replied. Marcus Webb, freelance journalist. Though once upon a time he had served in military intelligence. 8 months tracking corruption across this war-torn region, and every lead pointed back to Robert. Sophia's eyes narrowed. A journalist, arriving now. Too convenient. She stepped closer, keeping her weapon steady. He pulled a tablet from his vest with careful hands. Photographs filled the screen. Robert shaking hands with arms dealers. Ledgers of money transfers. Shipments of stolen weapons moving under official seals. "I've been building this case for months," Marcus said, "but I needed someone inside to prove it." "Then you went rogue, and everything fit." Sophia studied the images, her chest tightening. It all aligned with what she had seen. Yet she shook her head. "Even if this is true, it does not matter. Robert is going to burn 300 civilians alive tonight, and blame it on me. Evidence will mean nothing if they are all dead." Marcus's eyes hardened. "That is exactly why I am here. I intercepted transmissions. Robert has hired a shell company called Blackwater Solutions. They will carry out the slaughter, use your ammunition, plant evidence of your presence, and broadcast it to the world as a terrorist act." Sophia froze. "Broadcast?" she asked. Marcus nodded grimly. "Robert is not just planning murder, he is planning theater, a staged massacre that will define you as the villain. And he will play the hero, cleaning up after." Her stomach turned as the truth formed. Robert was not only silencing witnesses, he was rewriting history. She clenched her fists. "I cannot let that happen." A deep boom rolled across the desert, black smoke rising in the distance. Her binoculars revealed fire already blooming near the camp. They were starting early. Marcus kicked the motorcycle to life. "There's a back road to the north gate. If we leave now, we might make it." Sophia shook her head. "I work alone." "Not anymore." Marcus shouted over the engine. "You need me. I know Robert's playbook. I know his weaknesses, and you're going to need someone watching your back." For a heartbeat, she hesitated. Then she swung onto the seat behind him. Her weapon pressed to her chest. The motorcycle roared, tearing through the dust, each mile pulling them closer to the storm. "Robert is not just framing you," Marcus called over the roar. "He is broadcasting everything live. When the smoke clears, the world will see Sergeant Sophia as the murderer of innocents." Her jaw clenched, the wind tearing at her face. The camp grew larger ahead. Flashes of gunfire already lighting the early morning haze. Soldiers in black sweeping through tents. Civilians screaming as flames devoured canvas. It was war played out as spectacle. There, Marcus pointed a concrete building bristling with satellite dishes. "That is the broadcast hub. Destroy it, and the story dies." A sniper's bullet shattered the motorcycle's headlight, sparks spraying as the bike veered. Sophia's instinct screamed. 2 o'clock, sniper on the tower. Marcus wrestled the bike into cover behind shipping containers. Sophia scanned the distance. Too far for a pistol. I need to get closer. Marcus leaned toward her. Then I'll go for the broadcast hub. You take the tower, but you cannot do this alone. Sophia's gaze locked on the water tower, rising above the camp, the muzzle flash glinting against metal. Her path was clear. Nobody leaves that tower alive while he is up there, she growled. Marcus grabbed her arm. There are at least 20 contractors down there, plus Robert's regular forces. You cannot take them all. Sophia's eyes swept the burning camp. Families clutching one another, children crying, men and women running for shelter that did not exist. Watch me, she said, pulling away. As she moved through the smoke, Marcus's voice called after her. When this is over, when we expose Robert, what then? She paused, the fire painting her face in flickering light. Then we make sure it never happens again, she whispered before vanishing into the shadows. The ladder creaked beneath her hands as she scaled the rusting tower, gunfire erupting below. Every rung carried her higher into the chaos, and when she reached the top, she moved without hesitation, her knife flashing once. The sniper never had time to scream. She seized his rifle, her eyes catching the markings, her own unit's weapons twisted into tools of betrayal. Through the scope, she saw it all. Robert's contractors herding civilians like cattle, cameras positioned at perfect angles. The massacre staged, as if for an audience. And Marcus's voice crackled in her ear. Sophia, it is worse than we thought. They are not broadcasting live. They are pre-recording, scripting the slaughter, planning to edit you in as the villain. Sophia's stomach twisted. Robert was not just committing murder. He was creating a lie so perfect the world itself would believe it. She steadied the scope, her breath cold, then whispered, "Not if I can stop you, Robert. Not if I can stop you." From her position on the tower, Sophia watched the nightmare unfold. Flames turned the camp into a furnace. Cameras on tripods captured every scream, every burst of gunfire, but the angles were wrong, too polished, too cinematic. This was not a battle. This was a stage. Her earpiece crackled, Marcus's voice tight with urgency. Sophia, you need to see this. They're not streaming live. They are pre-recording everything, using actors, green screens, fake bodies. When they're finished, they will splice your image in. It will look like you led the slaughter. Her breath caught. Robert had thought of everything. He was building a film of terror, a false history to bury her and cleanse his name. The ladder groaned behind her, footsteps rising, 3 contractors climbing fast. Sophia knew she had seconds. She sighted through the scope, each shot precise, head and heart. The attackers fell before their hands touched the platform. Their radios crackled with panic. Overwatch is compromised, hostile in the tower. She switched channels, her voice steady. "Hello, Colonel. Miss me?" Silence held for a heartbeat. Then Robert's voice seethed through the static. "Sophia, I should have known you would crawl back from the dust. You always were too stubborn." She fired again. A cameraman collapsed, his expensive lens shattering in the dirt. "Nice production you have here," she murmured into the radio, "though the script is weak." Robert's voice grew colder. "You are too late. The world is about to see exactly what kind of monster you are." Sophia's scope shifted, her crosshairs locking onto a figure emerging from the command vehicle. Even at this distance, she saw his fury. Robert himself striding toward the broadcast hub. Her finger tightened on the trigger, but an explosion rocked the building, smoke rising, men dragging Marcus from the rubble, blood painting his face, his voice raw. "The servers, Sophia, they are backing up everything." Robert appeared in the doorway, his pistol pressed to Marcus's head, his voice carrying across the chaos. "Come out, Sophia. Your friend has been very helpful. He's been recording our conversations. Every word, imagine what I can do with that." Sophia crouched behind the burning wreckage of truck, her mind racing. If Robert controlled those recordings, he could edit them, twist them, turn her into the villain, not just of this camp, but of the entire war. "You have 30 seconds, Robert shouted. Then I put a bullet in his brain and burned the rest of this camp alive. Sophia's eyes scanned, searching. Then they caught the propane tanks stacked near the hub. She exhaled slow and steady. Her rifle cracked. The tank erupted in a plume of fire that shook the earth, the blast sending men flying. In the confusion, she sprinted forward, the heat searing her lungs. She found Marcus crawling through smoke, half conscious but alive. The servers, he gasped, they're in the center, reinforced walls. Everything is on them. Sophia dragged him to his feet. Together then, she said, and they plunged into the fire. Inside, smoke rolled like waves, flames licked the walls, the air thick and choking. Rows of drives blinked in the dim light. The evidence, the real communications, the fake footage, all of it. Sophia yanked drives free, stacking them into Marcus's trembling hands. "How much do we need?" she asked. "All of it," he answered. "Robert planned this for months. Every piece matters." The sound of boots drew closer. Robert's men sweeping the smoke-filled hallways, his voice echoing. "You cannot hide, Sergeant. Surrender now. Save yourself." Sophia shoved the drives into Marcus's pack. "Get out of here. Get them to someone who can use them." Marcus shook his head. "And you?" She tightened her grip on her pistol. "I'm going to finish what Robert started." Grenades clinked across the floor, thick smoke filling every corner. Robert's soldiers advanced with thermal scopes. But Sophia had planned for this. She had spent minutes in the furnace room below, her body heat masked by the ambient fire. On their screen, she would be a ghost. The first man fell silent to her blade. The second to a bullet whispered through smoke. Radios screamed confusion. "Johnson is down. Sector 2 compromised. Where is she?" Robert's laugh carried across the frequency. "You're outnumbered, Sophia, 6-1, trapped in fire and running out of rounds. What is your endgame?" She moved up the stairwell, each step measured. "My endgame," she said into the radio, "is to make you confess live on your own equipment." Robert scoffed. "Even if you kill my men, even if you reach me, who will believe you? You're already branded a traitor, and I'm a decorated colonel. The story is written." Sophia reached the third floor, his command post glowing through the smoke. "I've been recording too," she whispered, "every order, every word, and Marcus has already sent it to networks." Robert's silence told her he was unsure. She pressed a lie. "And they're listening now, your own men. Do you hear the doubt in their voices?" Through her scope she saw him, pistol drawn, fury in his eyes. She fired, shattering the light above his head, plunging the room into red firelight. "Keep talking, Colonel," she called. "The world is listening." The building shook with fire as Sophia pressed herself against the wall, her pistol warm in her grip. Robert's boots thudded across the floor, his men spreading out to flank her. His voice rang through the smoke. "Seal the exits. She is trapped. This ends tonight." Sophia keyed into the dead sniper's radio, her tone steady. "You are right, Colonel. It does end tonight, but not the way you imagine." She rolled 2 smoke grenades down the corridor. Thick gray clouds poured out, blinding his men. In the confusion, she moved like a shadow, silent, precise, striking from angles they did not expect. One by one the contractors fell, her knife slipping between armor plates, her pistol snapping in the haze, their radios filled with fear. "Sector 4 clear, no contact. Johnson is down." She cut into their channel. "Johnson is busy, but I can take a message." Robert's laugh was hollow and sharp. "You always were clever, Sergeant, but you are outnumbered. The fire is closing in. You cannot escape. What is your plan? To die a martyr?" Sophia's steps carried her higher, toward the stairwell, where she glimpsed Robert hunched over a console, his bodyguards close, his words dripping arrogance. "You think anyone will believe you? I have 20 years of service, medals, commendations. You have a bounty and the blood of innocents on your hands." She raised her weapon, her voice cold. "The only blood on my hands belongs to the mercenaries you sent. Yours is stained with every civilian you sacrificed." Her shot shattered the console beside him. Sparks leaping, Robert staggered back, reaching for the window, escape already in his mind. His words carried bravado, but his eyes betrayed fear. "You cannot stop this," he shouted. "Even if you kill me, the network survives. Generals, senators, contractors, they're everywhere." Sophia advanced, her eyes burning through the smoke. "Maybe, but it ends with you." She fired. Her bullet smashed his wrist, his pistol clattering to the floor. His scream tore through the room. She fired again. His knee collapsing, he fell against the wall, breath ragged, blood slicking his uniform. "Enough," she said, pressing the barrel to his temple. "Start naming names." Robert's face twisted between rage and terror. "Trying to bargain. I can make you rich, give you freedom." Sophia pressed harder. "I want justice, not bribes. Start talking." His voice cracked as pain forced truth from his lips. "General Morrison, Senator Walsh, contractor from the highest offices. The network goes to the Pentagon. Names spilled like poison. His confession broadcast across every frequency. Soldiers listening, commanders hearing the corruption laid bare." Outside, Sophia heard new voices break through the static. "Captain Emma, once her hunter, now her ally again. Sophia, we heard everything. We are moving to your position. Major Michael from intelligence joined. We have been investigating Robert, but lacked proof. What you did tonight opened it all." Sophia dragged Robert down the stairwell, his voice still spilling names. Marcus stumbled from the flames, clutching the pack heavy with drives. His face blackened with smoke, but his eyes alive. "Got it all," he gasped. "The evidence, the recordings, uploading to every network the world will know." Through shattered windows, Sophia saw headlights. Humvees with real unit markings, soldiers she recognized moving with discipline. A rescue, not an ambush. The tide had shifted. The doors burst open, Emma and Michael storming in with squads at their back, weapons raised but not at her. Emma's voice thick with shame. "Sophia, we believed him. We should have known you would never betray us." Sophia kept her gun trained on Robert, tension draining as her comrades stood at her side again. Rodriguez asked, "How many more of his loyalists are out there?" She replied coldly, "Fewer every second. His empire is crumbling." Robert groaned, his voice defiant even through blood. "You think this changes anything? There are others. This was just the beginning." Sophia met his gaze. "Then we will stop them too. Every last one." She ordered him treated, not executed. His voice needed to testify before the world. The convoy rolled through the desert night. Sophia riding with Emma and Michael, her head set alive with reports. Team 1 secured records and weapons caches. Team 2 captured contractors from the broadcast operation. Team 3 raided a base full of corrupt officers. Everywhere the network cracked, everywhere truth spilled. As they neared the ammunition depot built into the hillside, Sophia pointed to the eastern ridge, a service tunnel hidden behind false rock. Robert once bragged about it. Now would be his undoing. The squad followed her lead, night vision cutting through blackness. Guards ahead fell quickly. Inside, the facility spread wide. Rows of weapons, servers glowing, demolition charges already placed. Morrison himself stood in the command center, the general Robert had named, his voice echoing across the chamber. "You think this is corruption? This is national security. The old rules no longer work. Sometimes blood must be spilled to keep power." Sophia's voice cut across the gunfire. "You murder civilians and call it security." Morrison laughed. "You are naive. The network is larger than you can imagine. Even if I die, it will live on." He reached for a dead man's switch. Sophia's rifle cracked. His body fell. The switch clattered harmless. Silence fell across the chamber. Rodriguez's men secured evidence. Sophia gathered files that named officials across the highest levels. Later, in the Pentagon, months had passed. Sophia stood before Congress. 47 officers arrested, 12 contractors dismantled, senators exposed, oversight reformed. But her greatest victory was the new unit she had been asked to lead, a force dedicated to rooting out corruption, ensuring no soldier would ever again be abandoned by the very command sworn to protect them. As she finished her testimony, faces in the chamber showed shame, others resolve. All knowing the military would never be the same, she had not just survived betrayal, she had reshaped the war against it. And deep within herself, she knew this was only the beginning. The fight was not over, but she was ready. Sergeant Sophia, once hunted as a traitor, now stood as the shield against corruption, and she would never stand down, not until justice was written in every corner of the battlefield.